Hi! Welcome to this part of my review featuring Array of Champions, the core rules. If you haven't seen the other parts of my review of this extremely high fantasy role-playing game, please check out the playlist in the description below. This time we are going to talk about combat. We start with opposition tests. The vast majority of interactions can be defined as opposed tests. Two statistics, the player characters and the enemies or objects are being compared. For example, a first level barbarian champion may be performing a strike action against a bear. A first level human barbarian has 115 weapon attack. The bear's physical defense is 50. The barbarian rolls a d100 with an opposition value or OB of 65, that is 115 for the weapon attack minus the 50 physical defense of the bear. On a 65 or lower, the strike succeeds, and the barbarian may roll weapon damage. On a 66 or higher, the strike fails. To reiterate, all actions in the game are a test with which the players are rolling against the OV or opposition value. A bear performing a strike against the same barbarian would prompt a physical defense opposition test. This test would have an OB of 37 because it's 90 physical defense of the barbarian minus the 53 weapon attack of the bear. The barbarian needs to roll a 37 or less to avoid the strike. If the OB is 100 or more, actions automatically succeed. If the OB is under 1, they fail. This particular paragraph needs more commas in my opinion, because it makes sense as I explain it, but there are few commas when they are needed. It can make things a bit confusing. For example, I am going to read it without the commas. If the OB is 100 or more, actions automatically succeed if the OB is under 1. See, it doesn't make sense. Okay, rounding and targeting. Unless the ability states which direction to round, assume that rounding is in favor of the ability user. Abilities that target allies may be used on yourself. Pay close attention to the wording of each ability. For example, may target each enemy once per combat versus may target an enemy once per combat is going to be quite different. Furthermore, abilities that reference level are referring to path or racial levels, not character level. The exception is when an ability explicitly states the character's level. When it comes to the combat round consists of 7 phases. They are in order initiative. This is the turn order at the start of each combat round. All players roll a d6. If the players' combined roll is 14 or higher, then the players decide if they would like to go first in every phase or second in every phase. If they roll under a 14, the Game Master decides if the enemy combatants will go first or second in each. Everyone must have a turn in a phase, even just passing, before moving on to the next phase. You can see that with this initiative rule, there is safety in numbers. Then we have pre-movement. This phase of combat is characterized by buffing actions, healing and preparation. Pre-movement actions may be used in this phase. When it comes to buffs, these increase the statistics, damage, or available abilities of a character. Buffs with different names stack with one another. Buffs with the same name do not stack with themselves unless explicitly stated to do so. When it comes to movement, characters may move a distance equal to their movement value. This can include upwards and downwards if they have flight or burrow speeds. Then we have maneuver. This phase is comprised of actions that modify conflict actions. A champion may declare the preparation of their maneuvers and expend them in the conflict phase. To modify multiple conflict actions with the same maneuver, prepare multiple instances of the same maneuver. Then we have the conflict phase. This is comprised of actions that deal damage. Before rolling to hit, conflict actions may be modified by any number of uniquely named maneuver actions. This expends the preparation of that maneuver. Conflict actions crit on a natural 1, dealing maximum damage. Damage from the conflict phase resolves at the end of the reaction phase. When it comes to the reaction phase, This is all about actions that have specific triggers from earlier phases. The most common one is the use of a specific conflict action. For example, lighting a foe aflame who was hit by a conflict action that dealt fire damage. To reiterate, damage from the conflict phase resolves at the end of reaction. Then we have Gambit. This phase is characterized primarily by debuffs, as well as the majority of actions that last more than a single combat round. Concerning debuffs, these abilities reduce the statistics, damage, or capabilities of champions and non-player characters. Debuffs with different names that do the same thing stack with one another. However, debuffs with the same name do not stack with themselves unless explicitly stated to do so. All abilities fall under one of the aforementioned phases, and within combat may only be used during these phases. Do not move to the next phase until all participants, both allied and enemy, end their turn. Abilities may be freely used out of combat, though their use may initiate combat. Furthermore, it's worth noting that first level characters start with one action in each combat round. And this concludes this part of the review. In the next part we are going to talk about modular rules. The 7 phases of combat may look a bit complex, but I think that after 2 or 3 combats you are going to get the hang of them. Also, the mechanic of rolling under makes it very easy to handle any situation, including adding or subtracting modifiers. Thank you for watching this part of the review, and thank you for your likes and your comments. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. And thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. Once again, thank you, and see you later.